the next few minutes, but I'm going to get us started. Awesome. So welcome, everyone. This is our Stack Your Future session. Our contact here with us is Shara Ahmad, and he is the CTO, that's Chief Technology Officer at Money Media. And Money Media is a subsidiary of the Financial Times company. And I'm sure he'll tell us more about what that means exactly. And I'm really excited for our conversation today because Shara is going to talk about his current role overseeing the technology group at Money Media, which includes IT operations and development teams, but also their internship program, career path opportunities within IT, and just some tips of the trade and words of wisdom that he has to share with us. So I'll hand it over to Shara and take it away.
Okay, let me try to share my screen first.
Sure.
Again, let's see. And hopefully I'm going to go into presentation mode here. Okay, can we see?
Yes, you look good. Thank you.
Okay, all right, great. Hold on, let me just make sure I can do this. All right, so thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to talking with you guys and finding out what you guys are interested in and all that. So as Shannon said, I work for Money Media, which is a Financial Times company. I'm going to talk a little bit about our internship program, about the company, and also the kind of tips and stuff that I can hopefully give you guys as you go on your career paths. So, what is Money Media? Money Media is a content and data company. We have what we like to think of as like a startup-like culture. We also have strong backing from the Financial Times, which owns us. And the Financial Times is owned by Nikkei, which is a huge Japanese company, a multi-billion-dollar company. You've heard about the Nikkei index. Well, that's them. And so, it's we're part of a very established group of companies. Our mission is that we deliver must-have content that helps people to do their jobs better and sits at the heart of our customer success. Now, I just want to make a little point about the mission and also a little bit about culture. In our experience, this is really important. This mission actually directs us, it directs the company to produce the products that it produces, the directions we take, and kind of informs everything that we do. So when you look at a company's mission or ethics or culture, I would definitely ask you guys to pay attention to that, because we took a lot of time to come up with this mission, and a company should be spending time coming up with their mission. It's very, very important. This is something I also learned as I spend more and more time in my career, how important the mission and the cultural foundations of a company are. So we have a lot of products. I won't go through all of them. We tend to focus in on niches in various industries. So we are, for example, in the asset management space, in the financial sector. We are in the life insurance space. We're also in a health insurance space, property and casualty insurance space. So insurance and finance products. We also have products in, we also have something called Agenda, which is a corporate board product. And for all of these products, you can think of them as sort of like publications. We have a lot of content and data as well that we provide for our customers. We are a subscription business. The way you might have heard that media is having some problems with the digital age. We are a very successful digital media company, and we are successful because we produce content and data that we feel that our customers really need. And again, if you go back to the mission statement, I'll just go back here a little bit. It says must have content that helps people to do their jobs. Well, we feel that if you can make content that helps people do their jobs, they're going to pay for it. So this is how we have adapted to the digital content world and having a business that can actually survive in the modern world. So hopefully that makes sense. So what does a technology organization do that I had? We build, maintain, and support the digital infrastructure, platform, and applications. We analyze the data that is produced by people using our applications and the content that's produced in the applications. We create applications that helps our journalists produce the data. We also deliver the data, which means we have websites and mobile applications and RSS feeds and APIs that we send the data across. We also have various mechanisms for our customers to find the content and data that they're looking for. As you can imagine, we've been around since I think 1990, and so we have a lot of content and data. And as we are in these different industries, there's just a lot of information. So let me tell you a little bit about our internship program. So our internship program is a 12-week program over the summer. Most of the other internships roles that we have here that's not in technology is 8 weeks, but I asked for 12 weeks because I think that's much better for the intern, and also it's better for us because it takes time for you guys to learn about our systems and all the kind of nuances. So we asked for a longer program. We have roles in project management, in product development, software engineering, and quality assurance. And we're going to have the same set of programs again for next year. And the details of applying and everything, I think hopefully Shannon will have and or can provide to you later. But I won't go with those as well. I won't go with those here. Now, when you are in our internship program, you'll be working on real projects. We also feel we have a very fun, open, and collaborative atmosphere. For example, you can interact with me. You can interact with various members of our organization and all different parts of the technology organization. You'll be part of our team and you'll participate as such. You'll participate in meetings. You'll help us come up with ideas and you'll help build them. As I mentioned before, we're startup-like, but with big company backing. I'll explain a little bit of what startup-like means later. We're part of the Financial Times internship program. So the Financial Times has a bunch of events and programs around this. You meet other interns. You can learn about various other parts of our business as well. So it's not just about us. You also are incorporated and embedded in the larger Financial Times internship program as well. Some of the projects that previous interns have worked on have been GIS data searching. So that's mapping data and then allowing people to find data across geocoded boundaries. We've had interns work on clustering documents and finding patterns using NLP or natural language processing. We've had an intern create an email template editor in React Node. This template editor is more like a Google Doc-like editor. It's not like it's basically a sophisticated editor. We've had interns work on helping us improve our software development processes as part of the project management group. We've had interns work on automated tests, which are actually a really important part of software engineering. It's not boring at all. It's very, very interesting actually. And the interns have worked in some of these languages. Hopefully you've heard about JavaScript, the Node.js backend, PHP, Java, Python. So there's various although we're a small company, we do have opportunities in allowing you to work on all these different types of things. So hopefully that's interesting. Some of the quotes from our interns, I think people were surprised at how much new technology. These are actual quotes. I've taken the names out, obviously. There was, we were very happy to have this kind of commentary. We've only had our internship program. We've only participated in the technology organization for over a year or two. And so having this kind of positive feedback was very gratifying. And we had a great time with the interns this last summer, for example. And these are all quotes from last summer or this summer. One of the things that some of these interns said was, they realized that they had a lot of ability to explore, right? So some of these comments here is that, their career is not set in stone. Another one is that, I guess some interns or some people may have felt that, you have to really know something and be an expert at something. And when they came to us, there was a very supportive atmosphere. And not only did they learn new technologies, but we supported them in their learning path, and they really, I think, rose to the occasion. So it was very exciting to see that the interns got a lot out of it. We got a lot out of them, and they also got a lot out of our program, which is very, very important. So this is a little bit about, I'm going to switch a little bit to, what you should be doing and looking for in your career, or maybe some of your internship opportunities that come out. That doesn't just apply to Money Media. And, my background is that I've worked in various startups, and then eventually I came to Money Media. And I also interact with a lot of other CTOs in other companies, both startups and larger organizations. And I asked them, I said, listen, I'm going to do this talk, can you give me some advice? I haven't been, I'm not a young developer looking for a job right now. So what has changed? What would you give advice? It's not just from me. So some of the things that I gathered were, you're young, take risks. This is the time to take risks. And I think that's really, really important. I'm not saying that you should jump off a cliff. I'm talking about that, be open to the kinds of companies that are out there. And, if it's a small company that you don't know if it's going to be around in a couple of years, well, so what? You're young. If it goes, it goes. You can always get another job. As you gain experience, you'll become more and more valuable, and you'll find that getting jobs will be actually quite easy for you, especially in the technology industry. Explore, as I said, try out various things. Work with both big and small companies if you can. They each offer pros and cons, and I'll talk about some of those later. Go somewhere where you're not the smartest or most knowledgeable person. This is really important. Going back to the previous comment where you don't have to be an expert on something, you want to learn something. You want to be taught something. If you're in an organization where there's a lot of smart people, you can mine them, you can use them, you can, maybe hopefully get mentorship from them, right? So this is very, very important. They'll often have a lot of more years of experience than you, and most people, I think, are very giving. So I think this is an important thing. Don't be lured too much, I think, by stock options or compensation, especially early in your career. I think what you want to go for is opportunity and experience. I'll talk a little bit about startups and why stock options may be more of a mirage than a reality. So I just want to, point that out. Go for what's going to grow you as a individual. You're investing in yourself, especially in the early years, so you can succeed in your future career. And maybe you'll try something and you'll change your mind and do something else. So this is the time to explore. So let's talk about small companies first. As I said, I've been in both small and big companies. What I found was that, small companies and startups are great. They're often fast paced and exciting, especially if you're in a startup. You can have an opportunity to work on lots of different things. You can wear many hats. You can learn many things. You can learn by yourself, right? You'll be they'll just throw a project at you and you just have to kind of sink or swim. There's a lot of opportunity for personal growth because you'll be pushed and stretched. You learn to get things done. This is really important. The amount of stuff that I created and built in my startup days is just really kind of amazing. If you really put your mind to it, you can really build a lot and be really proud of it. And you learn to create. When you're in a startup, you're not only building, let's say, new applications or services, you're helping to build an organization. So you get to learn like what kind of processes that need to be built. What things are necessary, and you get to do it in the context of getting things done, which is really, really important. The downside of being in a startup, I think, is that there might not be a lot of help for you when you join. There may not be a good mentorship program. It's more sink or swim, as I said. You have to be very self-motivated. The culture of the startup really, really matters a lot. So you want to make sure that you can, give it your all, and you're in a place where you can learn and grow. It can be also chaotic. The managing style may be rough, so to speak. You may not have a lot of direction, but the thing that I'm not going to mention here is that, most startups fail, but I don't think that should scare you. Again, you're young. You're gonna explore. I'm assuming everybody's young. Maybe that's the wrong assumption, but that you're going to be able to try lots of different things, and and it's expected in the startup world that a lot of startups will fail. So, and actually failure is good. It'll teach you something. Why did you fail? All the startups that I participated in failed. And it hurt a lot because you build something, you feel like you give yourself to it. And when it fails, it really hurts, especially if you think you built something good, which I think, our companies did. But it really set me up for the next stage of my career at Money Media, where I could give a lot to a larger organization and to a company. So, don't be afraid that the company's going to go out of business, and don't be afraid to fail, basically. Advantage of a larger company. Well, you will have people around who can teach and mentor you. That's more stable. You can be more focused. You may not, in a startup, you may have to jump around a bit. In a bigger company, you might be able to focus and really learn something really well, right? And most likely some of the processes are going to be more mature, so you'll learn that as well. Now, the caveat is in the startup, you'll be able to experiment with a lot of processes, so you may not be able to do that as much as a big company, right? But if it's well managed, you learn good processes and techniques there. It's probably much better managed. The managers are probably going to be, much more mature and know how to, manage people, which can be really, really important. The con is it might be too specialized. Maybe you don't want to just learn about one small aspect of a technology and part of a huge application. You may not be given as much opportunity to create something new. You may have to just do some maintenance or bug fixes or, something that's already in process, like a long project and you're like a small cog in the wheel, and it may not be as exciting. However, there are always exceptions to any of these rules. I think Money Media is an exception. As I mentioned before, we're a startup-like, but work for a big organization. So take the time to find out about the companies you want to work for and what they can offer you. Don't just assume that all startups work the same way, or that all big companies work the same way. There's a lot of variation, and teams and structures, lots of great management out there. Ask questions. Ask people who already work there or who've worked there before. Maybe check out some Glassdoor, but always, those kind of, websites are, take it with a pinch of salt. You should talk to real people who potentially work there or who are working there, and feel free to ask questions. I think most good companies like people who ask questions. So it means that you're thinking critically, and you are actually interested. So how do you get into this sort of line of work? If you're just starting out, you may not have a lot. So I think internships can be hard to get. So there's a lot of people applying for them. So how do you stand out from the pack? How do you prep yourself for getting that job after you graduate? So when you don't have something, well, you got to bootstrap yourself a little bit, right? So I would start thinking about building a portfolio. If you want to go into web design, maybe have a portfolio of websites you've worked at. I had a friend of mine who had done nothing in web design. So what did he do? He made up a portfolio. He just created stuff, and he was pretty, obviously honest about it. He hadn't done anything, but he was a very talented designer, and he just started designing stuff and said, here, I don't have anything, but here's a portfolio of website designs that I could build. And he would, take stuff and just do it. I thought that was very good. Work on side projects. You can go to open source projects and work for them. So if you go to GitHub, where there's a lot of open source projects, look for the word contribute, and you'll see a whole bunch of results come up where open source projects are asking for developers to help, right? And they're also looking for sometimes young developers or developers with not a lot of experience, because they know they can groom them, right? You can learn a lot about processes from them. A lot of these open source projects can be very, very helpful, and they can teach you a lot. And you'll be looking at code, and you'll be getting comments and feedback. It'll all be online. You will most likely not have face-to-face conversations, but this can be very helpful. You can do hackathons. You can go to Hacker Earth. You can go to Hackfest, which has programs for hackers, and participate in it. And you know what? Don't be afraid to fail, as I said before. Even if you don't know anything about something, go ahead and try to do something, or learn something and try to participate. You can participate in more than one hackathon. So if you didn't do that well, or you felt you didn't do that well in the first couple of times, try again. If you are interested in data engineering and analytics, you can go to Kaggle. They have lots of competitions there, and and again, it can get very, very sophisticated. But what you can see when you go into Kaggle are other people who've done the competitions. You can participate in. Sometimes I believe you go into teams and you work. So there's a lot of lots of cool opportunities there. And I think another resource is your college. I'm not sure how many people go to the professor's office hours, but I would strongly encourage you to do that. Spend time with your professors, network with them, or ask for them advice. I hope I'm not giving too much a line outside the professor's door, but I think a lot of students don't take advantage of that, and I think you should. Hopefully you do, but if you don't, you should talk to your professor as well, and I'm sure they can give you lots of great advice as well. So that's my presentation. Hopefully that was helpful. Willing to take questions, and I'll stop my sharing right here.
Thank you, Shara. So yeah, if anyone has a question, you're welcome to unmute and ask it or put it in the chat. And I'll just keep an eye out here. And I'll ask the first one while we see, what everyone's thinking. With regard to the internship program, Shara, do you have any requirements or recommendations for foundational understanding with regard to like a major that you look for, or even skills, technical skills? I know you said this is a very supportive, immersive program you're going to learn, but like if you had to give someone a tip on some baseline understanding, what skills might those be? Yeah,
so we do expect that when an intern comes in that they know that they've taken programming classes. We're not going to teach them a programming language. That would just take too much time, right? But we don't expect that, software engineering is more than programming, right? The software engineering is a whole set of practices. So we don't expect the students to, for example, know a lot about continuous integration or test-driven development or Scrum or process like that, which we'll teach them, and those processes can vary from company to company, right? So there's no one official standard for everybody, but definitely having some programming experience is very, very helpful. And I would say learning some Linux is always helpful. Some Bash, for example, is extremely helpful because that's how you're going to be going around and getting around a lot of the modern systems. Beyond that, I think we tend to prefer people in the computer sciences. Sometimes in the science fields, if you are in, we did have somebody who was an economist who was at one point, this is not an intern, it was a real project manager for us. She had an economics and math background and she did fantastic. So you don't always have to be in the computer science world to get into technology. There's more than just programming, right? There's being a Scrum Master / project manager. There's you can go into product management, which is looking at what kind of applications or products or features that your customer needs, and the customer here can be both internal customers within a company or customers who are going to be paying for the product. There's product management in both those kinds of things, right? And here, for example, what would we look for in a product manager or a project manager? I think having good logical skills, the good logical critical thinking skills are important for all of these roles. We expect just in general, when somebody becomes a developer, for example, we expect them to question the product. We have a lot of developers who will say, listen, you want to do this, but I don't think this feature that you want really does that, right? Or why is it that you want this? I don't think this is a good idea, right? Or can we do it this way? Or what about doing this? So we've had people also come up with ideas that we've implemented. So, modern software engineering and technology organizations are much more social and team oriented and collaborative than the idea of a lone person, kind of like a superhuman, just coding a big application and doing it. I'm sure there are people like that out there, but most companies and startups are team-based and collaborative based. So you can have different skills to round it out, but if you're going to be actually programming, we do expect you to know how to program. Now, you may not know all the algorithms, you may not know all the nuances, but it's very difficult to, write in French if you don't know French. We can kind of the idea. Hopefully that answered your question.
That's great. Thank you. No, it gives a lot to consider. To your point about majors, but more so kind of the technical skills, some of these critical thinking skills that we should have to approach this type of role. So I think that's really helpful to think outside the box of just not the computer science major.
Right.
So that's great. Do we have any questions from our students on the call? Just checking.
So I did get a direct question. I'm not sure who it is, so I thought I'd answer it for international students. So I think most international students are allowed to work in the U.S. On an F1 visa, I believe. So there is, so we will take that. As long as you're legally authorized to work in the U.S., you can work. You can be in our internship program. With the pandemic, we're also open to, we had one engineer who was not located in New York. I think she was in the Midwest or something. So, and that worked just fine. We're all remote right now. So, we're very remote capable. We haven't thought about, if someone, this is a US college, so, you have to have the right to work in the US. Otherwise, hypothetically, if you were living abroad, the way it normally works is that there has to be a tax relationship that the organization has with the domicile, so that way we can hire them, right, and pay and do all that kind of stuff. So if they're and it's a little bit of work for organizations to build up that tax relationship. So we don't have it with everywhere, right? And even in the U.S. I think we don't necessarily have a tax relationship with all 50 states, right? So it takes a little bit of work, but I think it's like 2025 with the biggest states we will hire from.
Mm-hmm. So that leads me to a follow-up. I understand that you have locations with Money Media in London, Hong Kong, and Milan, correct?
Oh, Milan. I had not known about that.
Oh, I read it on the website. So.
Well, there you go. Well, there you go. We might just have somebody in Milan. Yes, we have people in Hong Kong. We have people in the UK. We had somebody for a while from Singapore. We have an office in the Philippines, and we have people all over the United States. And again, I think we are we not only in Hong Kong, I think we have people in Thailand, maybe even. Now, in the engineering side, we had Singapore and parts of the US. It's just the way it worked. But, we are open to hiring people from all over the world. I did get a question about culture. I don't know if somebody wants to, if I should talk about that at all or not.
Yes, so Paolo Bruzzesi, he's in the classroom there, and he wanted to hear more about the culture of the organization.
Yeah, so I think, I mentioned a little bit that, collaborative, we're not really hierarchical. Ethics are really important for us. We believe in trusting the individual. So, we want people to be motivated and self-motivated and do the work. But again, we want to make sure that there's a work-life balance and that we're providing value for our customers. We are we're very committed to a diverse organization. We work hard but play hard, and we have fun doing it. It should be about fun and doing things which are adding value to our customers, right? So, I don't know if that completely covers it, but that's sort of like the idea. But the ethics aspect of it is very, very important. To do something that, to be able to be, to say the truth as best as you know it, and to do the best work that you can. And, these are really important.
Thank you. Okay, we're just on our half hour, so thank you very much. I'll just pause and see if there's any last questions. But I will say, with regard to the internship program, my understanding is the summer opportunities will come open around December or January. And I will, sounds good, right? So I'll be in touch with our contact with regard to those openings and get it out to students. So you should certainly keep an eye on our newsletter that we put out every Monday, and also Spartan Jobs, where we post opportunities, because those opportunities will be put in there as soon as they become open, which we think will be closer to the end of the year. Okay, so I don't think we have any more questions now. So Shara, thank you so much. It was so great to meet you and learn about Money Media and careers in technology. And we hope to stay connected and hopefully have some students with you maybe this summer.
Yeah, that'll be very exciting. It was a pleasure to talk to all of you, and good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you everyone for joining us.